Edgar Degas spent 40 years painting women with an obsessive, almost clinical intimacy, and by every documented account of people who knew him, he was a man who genuinely despised being around them. The contradiction isn't a myth or a misreading. His own letters confirm both things simultaneously. The answer to how that's possible exposes something the official museum plaques have quietly agreed never to mention. Walk into any major museum with a Degas in it, the Musée d'Orsay, the Met, the National Gallery. You'll read the same sanitized language. Studies of movement, the modern female form, a revolutionary eye for the working body. Not one plaque tells you what those young dancers actually were. Not one mentions the men in the top hats standing in the corners of his own paintings. The men Degas painted deliberately, repeatedly, in plain sight. Here's the problem. If you don't know what you're looking at nothing. You're staring at a pastel of a girl adjusting her slipper and calling it pretty. And the entire 19th century transaction Degas was documenting, the one he witnessed for 4 decades, slides past you, invisible. The Paris Opera Ballet in Degas' time wasn't what the word ballet suggests today. The dancers were called les petits rats, the little rats. Most were children of working-class families, girls as young as 7 or 8, sent to train because a ballet contract meant income. And the opera subscription system, the Abonnés, gave wealthy male patrons backstage access to the wings, to the rehearsal rooms, to the girls. This is documented. Historians of the Paris Opera have written about it extensively. The men in the black coats in Degas paintings are the Abonnés, the patrons, and the transactions they arranged with the mothers of those dancers were an open secret of Second Empire Paris. Now the agitation, because it gets worse the longer you look. Degas painted the mothers too, sitting on benches at the back of rehearsal rooms, waiting, negotiating. He painted the men leaning in too close. He painted exhausted girls at the bar with the same detachment he used for horses at the track. That detachment isn't a stylistic choice. It's the flat, unblinking gaze of a man who came, watched, cataloged the trade, and walked home to eat dinner. And here's the second layer. Degas himself, later in life, became openly, aggressively anti-Semitic during the Dreyfus Affair. He cut off lifelong friendships. He was, by the standards of any era, a difficult and often cruel man. His misogyny was noted by contemporaries. Mary Cassatt, who worked alongside him for years, eventually described him as impossible. So how does a man who despises women produce the most sustained, unflinching visual record of their exploitation in 19th century Europe? That's the third consequence. If the museums told you the truth, that these aren't celebrations of dance, but forensic documents of a child trafficking economy dressed in tulle, the pastels turn into crime scene photographs on the wall. The gift shop postcards stop working. The tote bags stop working. An entire tourism apparatus depends on you not knowing. Here's the resolution. Degas wasn't painting beauty, he was painting a system. He painted it obsessively because he understood it. The arrangements, the hierarchies, the men in the wings, and he refused to soften it. His famous sculpture, The Little Dancer Aged 14, was so disturbing to its original 1881 audience that critics called the girl's face vicious, depraved, bearing the mark of every vice. They knew what she was, they just couldn't say it. So how does a misogynist produce the definitive record of female exploitation? He doesn't paint them as women, he paints them as merchandise, and he paints the buyers standing right next to them. That's the reconciliation his letters and his canvases share. The next time you stand in front of a Degas, don't look at the dancer, look at the corner of the frame, find the black coat. That's the painting. Her real name, in the ledgers of the period, was a petite rat, and the man in the shadow paid for the view you're now standing in. If you got something out of this, hit subscribe. This channel goes deeper on the corners of art history most videos skip. And tell me in the comments, what's the part of this you can't stop thinking about? Next on this channel, another story like this one, the kind most people never hear. Stay for that one.